Kevin Sidebottom here. I'm a speaker, author, and trainer, and I go around and I teach sales organizations and leadership teams on how to increase influence, trust with their teams. Because when we do that, our profits go up. And that's what we all want in business. And in any organization, we want more efficiency. Today, let's talk about how we build trust and credibility with our teams. That's right. We're going to talk about how we grow with our teams to become more efficient. In today's video, we're going to talk about 3 different questions that everybody asks at every interaction, how we can make sure that we're intentional about doing that, one thing we can do for investing into our teams to add value, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to give you one specific way you can become a rock star overnight. How's that sound? All right, let's get into this. So, the 3 questions that everybody asks are, do I like you? Do I trust you? How can you help me? Well, we're not people that can actually look into a crystal ball, so we need to be focused on them and understanding them. First way we do is because we're likable. If people don't like us, they're not buying from us, and they're not going to be engaged. So what can we do when we're meeting with them to be more likable? Well, it goes into what we wear, the different perfumes we have, and the environments we're meeting in. Okay, some environments are so distracting that people, like their negativity and their guard kind of goes up. Like in a busy subway, you'd be like, oh God, I could never hold a meeting in a busy subway. Well, the same thing happens when people are walking through in a cafeteria if you're trying to have a conversation or a meeting, right? So we need to be cognizant of our environments that are warm and inviting so that people are more relaxed. And again, you have to be cognizant of the colors you wear, the perfumes and all that stuff. And because we typically don't do, personality studies on everybody that we meet and don't have access to that data, well, it's kind of hard to know exactly what happens. So in the trustworthy training that I created, I actually go through on how to make sure that we align ourselves well to make sure that we have trust and credibility in our teams. Because credibility is actually one of the variables in the trust equation that I teach. Okay? Let's talk about number 2. Do I trust you? Well, if they like us and we're doing things right, they're going to trust us. Well, credibility being a part of that equation, we need to be discussing what credibility looks like. And most times people sit there and go, credibility is somebody who's a scholar, who's studied this area of expertise for a long period of time. And that's true. And you could have experience for many decades on a specific thing and become a credible source. News organizations have credible sources whenever they report on stuff. Okay? Well, you can be that. But here's another way that I teach, and it's worked for me, and I stumbled upon it when I was down selling in Florida. Okay? I was actually out there meeting with customers, and I'd have someone go, hey, I'm instituting this new software. And they wanted my advice. I said, well, I don't know much about this software. Why are you asking me? Well, you're around the area, you know this information, and, well, you're an electrical engineer. Okay, well, I'm an electrical engineer. It doesn't automatically ding me as I'm, a professor in every software package out there. I'd have to go learn it. Well, I would remember, you know what? There's a guy over in this area over here that actually uses that software. And I'd start asking all the other customers, hey, what do you use for your different software? And then what I would do is I would link them up. So this person would talk to this person, and they would go and make a bond, and they'd talk and learn together, and the guy would share why he liked it, what he didn't like, what he could improve, blah, 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 blah. And they'd form a bond. Well, a byproduct out of that literally I stumbled upon was I gained credibility, where they would start asking me more questions and ask who I knew that could help them. Instant credibility. That's right. Called being the bridge is what I call it. When you're bridging people together and helping them move forward together, you become credible. So when you're out there, you don't have to be a scholar. You can build bridges. So who do you know that could actually help them? And if you don't know somebody, you can research it and find who knows who and get to some help. It's all about being intentional to help people, okay? So that's a couple ways to build trust and credibility. We need to be doing that with our teams and with our customers and everybody in business. We have to be doing that. And even if you're in a nonprofit, we constantly need to be engaging people on how we can help them, okay? Now, the third thing you got to be answering is, how can you help me? Well, we don't have crystal balls, but what we do typically have is customer relationship management tools. We have profiles of people that they've updated. And if they haven't updated, I highly recommend people put the information in there. If they're married, what their kids are, if they have pets, what are their future goals and all that stuff. Because typically organizations do that annual review where they're going, okay, where do you want to be in 5 years? Which is like the most boring topic ever. But if they put it in their profile, you can be, when you're sitting down with them, you can be looking at it going, you want to do this. How can I help you get there? How can I help you? Because once we start doing that and engaging in that, guess what's going to happen? People are going to gain trust with us because we're helping them. Isn't that a great byproduct? Okay, so let's move in to one other topic that I always recommend that every organization does, and that is invest in your teams to grow them. So I often recommend one training a year that you're bringing somebody from outside the team in to train your team. That's right. Got to invest in the team to grow the team because as they grow together. Bonds happen. Trust goes up. Credibility will go up because you're linking people. By bringing these people in for the trainings, well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to win as an outcome because you're investing in your teams. And I also recommend keep the people after for the training to kind of discuss what they liked, what they didn't like, how it can be improved, get some insight, what did somebody learn about the training, because people are going to have different ideas and different approaches that's going to make other people think. So the communication is key to really review that stuff. Now you can also supplement doing book readings. And I know most people hate reading books, but here's a secret. I read 12 books a year, not because I'm a fast reader, but because I read about 10 pages a day. That's right. I read 10 pages a day, and I can do about a 300-page book a month. And most business books are less than 300 pages. In fact, my book's like 120 or 130 pages. I mean, it's so short. Anybody could read through it. But it helps get a discussion going and people are learning together. And as they learn, they grow together. And as we grow together, we build bonds. So I often recommend supplementing your yearly training with books. And it can be once a quarter if you don't want to do 12 books a year. It's okay. But as long as people are still having conversation, and take 5-10 minutes out of every weekly meeting that you have to go over something that everybody's learning, well, guess what? People are adding value and growing, and the insight helps the team grow, makes more people credible, builds trust. We got to have it. Now, the last thing that I always recommend is to be an undercommitter, overproducer. Now, I'm not saying that you need to undercommit so much that you never commit to anything, but typically what happens is most people overcommit and underproduce, especially in sales. They'll go out there and say, we've got this great plan and we're going to hit the market on this date and it's going to be awesome. And that date comes and nothing happens. Or that objective comes and nothing happens. And now you lose trust and credibility with your customers and your teams. As a program manager, I learned that there's these things called float. And the float is extra time as a buffer. So when you add that extra time, and I'm not saying like decades and whatnot and being ultra conservative, I'm saying adding a few extra days for a process is okay. Because when you hit that date, hey, you've hit the mark. You're okay. You've done what you said you're going to do. It builds trust. But if you come in earlier on the date that you expected, guess what happens? You become a rock star. Yeah, that's right. You actually undercommitted, overproduced. You do that enough, and everybody starts going, hey, look at this guy. It's kind of like a little cheat code, okay? So I hope that helps. If you liked this video and thought it was helpful, like it, share it, subscribe. Get it out to other people so it helps them, because I am here to help people grow. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. My contact's below. We'll see you next time.